Good day, learners. In this lesson, we will talk about the figure of speech. In this lesson, we will be answering the following questions. First, what is a figure of speech, and what are the types of figure of speech? Let's begin. Now, what is a figure of speech? A figure of speech is figurative language. It is a figurative language in the form of a single word or phrase. Now, a figure of speech is essentially a word or phrase used in a non-literal sense for rhetorical or vivid effect. It can be a special repetition, arrangement of omission or words with a literal meaning, or a phrase with a specialized meaning not based on the literal meaning of the words. They are plainly defined as saying one thing in terms of something else. What does that mean? Well, it's simple actually. Let's say, whenever you say something but you don't mean it literally, you are using a figure of speech. Let's say you are about to head out to the store and your mother says, "You better take a jacket. It's raining cats and dogs out there." Does your mom literally mean that animals are falling from the sky? Well, basically, that's a figure of speech. Your mother is trying to tell you something in terms of saying it. I do not take it literally, but you have to take it in a in a more sense, not the same with the literal meaning. Okay, so let us proceed to the next question. What are the types of figures of speech? In this lesson, I will be discussing with you 4 types of figures of speech. We have first, the hyperbole. In hyperbole, a statement is made emphatic by overstatement. Say, for example, we have this one. She cried so long that she made a lake. And then another example, I'm so tired I could sleep a year. Notice that in these examples, we have this, the writer or the one who made this one use exaggerated statements. And because of these exaggerated statements, you are not meant to take this literally, and that is hyperbole, wherein you will use exaggerated statements that should not be taken literally. And then we have personification. In personification, inanimate objects and abstract notions are spoken of as having life and intelligence. Personification occurs when the author or speaker gives human characteristics to non-human objects. For example, the trees scream in the raging wind. Can trees actually scream? No, that is a human trait, right? So the use of personification here gives a better description of the sound trees makes in strong winds. Okay? Now we have apostrophe. An apostrophe is a direct address to the dead, to the absent, or to a personified object or idea. This figure of speech is a special form of personification. Now say, for example, we have these examples. Don't tell me now, dear eyes. Life, I cannot understand you. Now, in this example, you can say that the one who made this one is addressing someone absent, dead or non-human, as if that person or thing were alive or present, and that's for apostrophe. And lastly, we have metonymy. Now, in metonymy, literally means a change of name. An object is designated to be the name of something else which is generally associated with it. Now, using this technique, it's like labeling someone or something as good or bad without sufficient evidence, okay? I mean, you will directly change the name of that particular thing. Say, for example, crown for the power of king, and then the White House declared that we are at war with Mars. Now, when we say metonymy, it is a figure of speech in which the name of one object is substituted for something closely associated with it. Let's say, for example, the crown will substitute the power of the king. And then another example, we have the White House is the metonymy for the President of the United States. So that's for metonymy. To end this lesson, let us have a sort of a recap. We now know that what is a figure of speech, and you also learned what are the types of figures of speech. We have hyperbole, wherein you're going to use exaggerated statements. Personification, wherein you are going to give human trait to something or inanimate objects. And then we have apostrophe, wherein you are going to, it's like personification, but you are thinking that a dead thing or someone absent is as if you're talking to it, that it was alive or present. And then lastly, we have metonymy, where you're labeling a thing, substituting its name. Let's say, for example, the crown will represent the king, and then the White House will represent the President of the United States. That's for metonymy. So, I guess that's all for our lesson. I hope you learned something from me today. This is your teacher, Teacher Joy. Thank you and see you again.